10, Miley Cyrus. This one's pretty straightforward. Hannah Montana herself, Miley Cyrus, disowned her father Billy Ray after he decided to marry a woman who was on the show Hannah Montana with Miley when she was in her teens. Billy Ray had a stellar country career before Miley got her own show, and some would argue that as time's gone on, she started to outshine her dad. I'm just kidding, there's no argument, she is definitely more famous than her father now. Billy decided to pull a weird move and started dating a woman named Fire Rose, who acted alongside Miley on Hannah Montana. Miley stopped speaking to her father the moment she saw them together, especially after she discovered how much Billy spends on her jewelry and overall gifts. Number 9, Abigail Hopkins. The daughter of Anthony Hopkins used to be spotted with her father constantly. From the time that she was little to her early 20s, she would accompany her dad at red carpet events and film premieres, getting to spend some time with Hollywood's best and brightest. However, the two have not spoken in like 20 years, being bitterly estranged this entire time. In fact, Anthony and his daughter Abigail are so far removed from each other that Anthony recently said he didn't know if she had any kids and didn't care. He also said that he had no idea where she even lived, like he just really doesn't care about his own kid. The tragedy in her life started early when her father divorced her birth mother as a child, and she started living with her mom because Anthony was just never home and he was usually under the influence of something. He became so enamored by No Juice, it took over his life, and his role as a parent was basically non-existent. In this case, they kinda disowned each other. Number 8, all of Brangelina's kids. Well, there's been a lot of stuff being released about Brad Pitt and his adoptive kids this week, and it seems like they may have disowned him for pretty good reasons. Brad's adoptive son, Pax, has gone on record to say that his dad is an a-hole who makes his kids tremble in fear. In an Instagram post, he ranted about Brad's role in his life, and according to him, Brad is just an unhinged man who can snap at a moment's notice. He wrote that Brad made the lives of those closest to him a living hell, and he wrote, "Happy Father's Day, you effing awful human being." That Brad Pitt has time and time again proven himself to be a terrible, despicable person and has no consideration or empathy towards his youngest children who tremble in fear when they're in his presence. He will never understand the damage that he's done to his family because he is incapable of doing so. Brad responded to the comments, acting like a parent, saying that he was disappointed in his kids feeling they had to drag his name through the mud. Pax didn't say if there was a specific event that caused the rant, but considering the split that took place between him and Angelina in 2016, the rant is more than likely not baseless and probably has some darker truths behind it. Number 7, the Kardashians. Now I know what you're thinking, how could any of the Kardashians disown their parents? Who else would it be other than Caitlyn Jenner? When the new Kardashian series on Hulu was announced, she expressed her joy for the family, but simultaneously her disappointment with the way things have turned out family-wise. She was there when the journey first started on the very first episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians and watched it grow for almost 20 seasons. One of the highlights of her life. And the show was canceled in 2020, but only 3 months later the family signed a new contract to make global content exclusively with Hulu. The Kardashian-Jenner crew have all but disowned Caitlyn, as not only was she not included in the series, but apparently she hasn't spoken to her kids since 2020. Number 6, Hailey Hasselhoff. Being the daughter of the guy from Baywatch sounds like it's the coolest thing in the world, right? Spending long days on the beach, the sun beaming, you get to meet SpongeBob. It's wonderful. But as it turns out, it's actually extremely difficult, and it comes with its own set of issues. Hailey was born in 1992 when David Hasselhoff was at the height of his career. Being on Baywatch alone brought in over 1 billion viewers. Hailey had a lot of advantages. Not only was her dad famous, but she grew up in a really nice part of Hollywood, having the film Clueless literally filmed in the house next door. Unfortunately, being born into that kind of environment has left Hailey anxious and mentally struggling when she was growing up. During an interview with People, she explained that she had hardcore social anxiety growing up and found it paralyzing to go to school. She ate to cope with the anxiety, and when she was 11, she was mistreated for her weight. Growing up in Hollywood really just didn't help. She said it was an environment where people wanted to fit in rather than stand out, being surrounded by fakers. As time went on, she wanted to be a part of her father's work, but she was exposed to the dark side of Hollywood when David's no juice habits took over his life. She stopped speaking to her father regularly around that time, and her parents divorced, and these days she works in her own world of fashion modeling, small screen cameos, and of course, sharing body positivity messages. So Good for her. Number 5, Jamie Lynn Spears. Both of the Spears sisters have been through a rough go. Mom loves no-no juice and dad's a menace to this planet, but Jamie takes the spot on this list because she's actually disowned her entire family, Brittany included. Growing up with her sister in the spotlight was never easy for Jamie, even after she got cast to be the lead of the show Zoe 101, which is, I genuinely thought she was more famous than Brittany when I saw that show. But it turns out that was just a ploy to gain her parents' approval. Instead of gaining that approval, she got a taste of what her sister had to deal with. Her parents were just happy that there was more money coming into their pockets. The older Jamie got, the more complicated life became. When Brittany was under conservatorship, she did everything that she could to be on her parents' side and make Brittany feel worse, even writing a tell-all book before Brittany did. She has never publicly disowned them or signed any paperwork, but she is also a grown woman now and just really doesn't need to do any of that. Number 4, Jack Quaid. You may know Jack from quite a few projects in the past few years. I personally know him best as Huey on the incredible Amazon series The Boys, but he's actually been carving a path for himself, appearing in movies like Scream from 2022, Oppenheimer, and even The Hunger Games. This man is a true treat, but I honestly didn't know that he came from famous parents, and then I saw who his dad was and I felt like a moron, a feeling that I get fairly often. His parents are Dennis Quaid from The Parent Trap and Meg Ryan from every rom-com starring Tom Hanks. You would think being the son of two very well-respected performers would mean that life is but a breeze, but Jack actually decided to distance himself from his family and do his own thing. He knew he wanted to be an actor from a young age and follow in his parents' footsteps. Thankfully, he grew up in a house where that was a real job prospect and they were all for it. But Jack knew that he had an advantage over everyone else and he didn't want to misuse that privilege. In fact, Dennis tried to get him an agent, but Jack refused to accept the help. He eventually found an agent and made his on-screen debut in the first Hunger Games movie. He didn't have a ton of lines, but he was very present throughout most of the runtime. Eventually, he made his way to Amazon, and the rest is history. Still being made. Number 3, Ireland Baldwin. The daughter of Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger has been through a lot of ups and downs with her parents. Her father is well known for being a bit loud and unnecessarily mean to his daughters, and for, mishandling props. Her father famously left her a voicemail calling her an ungrateful pig and a bunch of other things that I can't quote, but it actually isn't the phone call that strained her from her parents. It was a medical situation. While making an appearance on the now canceled talk show Red Table Talk, she got candid about her parents and her upbringing. Like many Hollywood kids, she was filled with anxiety and had a deep-rooted fear that people were out to get her or just wanted to simply be with her to be with her parents. This especially made it hard for her to individualize from her parents. She continued to reveal that she had a lot of body image issues growing up and still does, despite being a high-paid model. The divorce between Kim and Alec was difficult, and Ireland was dragged into it, creating a toxic environment at home that left her struggling even more than she already was. She stopped speaking to her parents and created her own career outside of her family. Number 2, Suri Cruise. Despite sharing a child with his ex-wife Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise has not seen his daughter Suri in over 10 years, according to online sources. The reason being, well, they just don't share the same religious beliefs. Tom is a member of the scientific community, if you know what I mean, and his daughter just isn't. When he divorced from Katie, he was informed that he was not allowed to keep in contact if the family did not want to be involved with his views. And on top of this, in recent years, it's been revealed that Tom doesn't even view Suri as his daughter. She is merely a spiritual being inside the body of his daughter. Jeez. At least that's what a book says. Tom says the reason he hasn't spoken to his daughter is because of his busy work schedule. The initial 100-day absence that was reported in the early 2010s was apparently due to Tom filming in London. It was impossible to just see his daughter, but Suri has not come forward publicly to speak out about her dad. Then again, she isn't even in her 20s yet, so why don't we just let her keep her privacy for now? And number 1, Elijah Blue. Musician and artist Elijah Blue opened up about his life being the son of one of the greatest musicians of all time, Cher. Elijah told the people at ET that there were times growing up he felt shunned by his parents, being sent to a boarding school at the age of 7. I didn't know those things were real. I always thought that they just made them up in movies to scare kids, so that's messed up. It's no wonder that he felt abandoned. His mom was Cher, and while she was out touring the world, he was living in a school. That is a nightmare I regularly have. As time has gone on, he has come to terms with his position and accepted it fully, but just because he's accepted it, it doesn't mean that it's okay. He said while in boarding school he'd fly home to see his family in New York on vacations. Well, not his family, he would fly in and throw his stuff down just to leave the house and visit his friends. At an early age, he partook in narcotics and no-no juice that left him rebellious. In his time being a rebel, he developed a case of Lyme disease that forced him to seek treatment in Germany. And he has actually been thankful for that experience because he met his current wife while in Germany. So that's cute. When he was home with his parents, he remembers the house always being full of other people. Not love-making sessions and no-no stuff and rock and roll, but still big parties with lots of adults. As time went on, he spoke less and less with his family, but was still able to create a career.
Number 10. Lily Rose Depp. Like a lot of the stars on today's list, Lily Rose has been known to not acknowledge the fact that she comes from privilege. More so, on many occasions, she's actually fought against the theory of nepotism, playing the biggest hand in her successful career today. Though whether this is true or not is obviously kinda hard to tell. I personally feel like Lily Rose Depp definitely has the look to be in film and be a model, and so that she has working for her. She brought that. I mean, she was born with the way she looks, and she probably works on the way she looks too. And her name and connection to both her celebrity parents has probably also helped to open at least some doors for her. She's the daughter of actor Johnny Depp and singer, model, and actor Vanessa Paradis, and made her film debut in Tusk, which her dad also starred in alongside her. Both Depps starred in the spin-off Yoga Hosers. The model, who's now a Chanel brand ambassador, met the late Chanel creative director Karl Lagerfeld through her mom. She told Elle, "The internet cares a lot more about who your family is than the people who are casting you in things. Maybe you get your foot in the door, but you still just have your foot in the door. There's a lot of work that comes after that." Previously, she told Australian Vogue, "It is obviously a really easy assumption to make to think that I would just have roles landing on my doorstep because of my name. But that's an idea I've always kind of rejected. I've always been under the impression that I have to work twice as hard to prove to people that I'm not just here because it's easy for me. I feel like you're not what your name is. If you're not right for something, they're not just going to hire you because your name looks good on the post." And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you like what we do here at BTS, be sure to click that like button. Number 9. Maggie Gyllenhaal. While some might seem more debatable in terms of how much their nepotism truly paved the way, there are others who, while having a famous name to lean on, actively try to prove their merit and actively challenge themselves creatively. To me, Maggie is one of those people. She's not only extremely talented, but she also comes across as being low-key and down to earth. And she hasn't really just settled for safe roles, but has actively sought out more complex ones and diverse ones, even expanding into a director role as well with time. A lot of people seem to forget that both Jake Gyllenhaal and his sister Maggie were born into a family that already worked in the industry. And not only that, I believe they were also born into Swedish royalty as well. Maggie even attributes much of what inspired her to her mother, Naomi Foner, who is a screenwriter and director who received an Academy Award nomination and won a Golden Globe for her screenplay Running on Empty, and directed Very Good Girls, which starred Dakota Fanning and Elizabeth Olsen. Number 8. Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is the daughter of actor Blythe Danner and director and producer Bruce Paltrow. She made her film debut in the TV movie High, which was written and directed by her own father. On Hailey Bieber's YouTube show Who's in My Bathroom, what a weird name for a YouTube show by the way, she said, "As the child of someone, you get access other people don't have, so the playing field is not level in that way. However, I really do feel that once your foot is in the door, which you unfairly got in, then you almost have to work twice as hard and be twice as good." She continued, "People are ready to pull you down and say you don't belong there, or you are only there because of your dad or your mom." I do think Gwyneth had to work hard to prove herself, but I also feel like her nepotism has allowed her to get away with some pretty wild things in regards to building her own brand. Number 7. River Phoenix. Some may not consider River Phoenix a child of nepotism, considering that growing up, his life was honestly kind of rough, and his parents were described by him as hippie-ish. They weren't well-known performers or directors or producers, but that doesn't mean that nepotism didn't play a role in River's success. It was actually his mother, who had a job as a secretary at NBC, that was able to use her position and her connections to get her children a place in the spotlight, calling a casting director at Paramount and getting getting her son a job in the industry when he was only 8. Basically, putting them in front of the right people. That being said, both River and Joaquin were definitely talented youths, even I'm sure their sisters were, who I believe more than earned their place. Now, in River's case, fame actually ended up being a massive burden on him, one that he actually never sought out, but was more thrown into by his mother. And that cost him dearly in the end, likely playing a key role in him losing his life at the age of 23. Number 6. Hailey Bieber. Some may not know Hailey Bieber is the daughter of actor, director, and producer Stephen Baldwin, and the niece of actors Alec, Daniel, and William Baldwin. Before she was married to Justin, her name was Hailey Baldwin. However, she followed more closely in the footsteps of her model cousin Ireland Baldwin and her model sister Aliyah Baldwin. In 2016, before she married Justin Bieber and changed her name, she told Grazia, "I want to do everything on my own without my name being a factor. I try to keep myself separate from it." She continued, "Kids that already have a famous background are just following in their family's footsteps. My dad and all of his brothers have done this. This is my family business." Some could interpret this as literally using your family's footsteps to pave your way, as opposed to carving your own path. But, it could kind of go either way, really. I understand what people are saying. They come from a family. Obviously, you're going to use those connections. But to what extent? To what extent? That's what we're asking here. Number 5. Rashida Jones. Initially, Rashida Jones didn't even want to be involved in the family business. You might recognize her from the cast of Parks and Recreation, but before ever entering the industry, she was working towards a job in the justice system as a lawyer or possibly even a judge. In fact, she even went to Harvard. She worked really hard to be in that other field. Her father is famous music producer Quincy Jones, and her mother is actress Peggy Lipton, who you might recognize from Twin Peaks, where she played the owner of the Double R Diner, Norma Jennings. It wasn't until later in her life that Rashida decided to change careers and work towards a role in the film industry. Although she comes from folks who work in this industry, Rashida attempted to always apply her father's advice to any job that she worked in. She said he had always advised his daughter that whatever you do, you have to work really hard to get really good at it. Number 4. Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner is the daughter of reality star Kris Jenner and Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner. Of course, the model is more well known for her connections to her reality star sisters Kim, Khloe, and Kourtney Kardashian, and Kylie Jenner. She has said before, "Of course I had a platform and I never took that for granted. I always knew that was there, but that almost made my job a little bit harder. Only because people probably didn't want to hire me because I was on a reality TV show." Well, that definitely sounds like it would make being taken seriously a bit of a challenge. Many people also never get the opportunity to even be on a reality TV show. Well, I have no doubt this created challenges for Kendall as she worked towards becoming a model, and mental hurdles in regards to, awful things people likely said and say about her online. It's also important to consider that her role on the show likely also opened some doors as well. Number 3. Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz is the daughter of actor Lisa Bonet and singer Lenny Kravitz. She shares a publicist with her dad. Her standout roles include her part in the Hulu series High Fidelity, which was a TV series remake of the 2000 movie that her mom starred in, and Catwoman in The Batman. Although Zoe had also voiced Catwoman previous to that in the Lego Batman movie. Her first role, however, was a small part in the film No Reservations, where she played a gothic academic babysitter named Charlotte. That being said, I feel that Zoe Kravitz has proven herself as an actress kind of many times over at this point. And while I'm sure her having family in the industry helped her to launch a career, she still started with smaller roles and had to work her way up to becoming Catwoman. In fact, Zoe also has opened up about her own struggles working in the industry, sharing that when she sought to audition for a smaller role in Dark Knight Rises, she was actually turned away, being told that casting wasn't going urban on the part. Number 2. Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner, like her sister Kendall Jenner, is kinda cut from a pretty similar cloth, becoming famous at a young age on the reality TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. A few years ago, Forbes labeled her as the youngest self-made billionaire in history, which of course prompted many people to call out Forbes for mislabeling her, saying that, it's easy to become a billionaire when your parents are millionaires and you come from privilege. That being said, Kylie did smartly use the status she garnered from the show to elevate herself and her brand. So, is she somewhat self-made, or is she not at all self-made? That being said, is anyone really self-made in a world where wealth tends to remain with the wealthy? Number 1. Bill Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård is a talented actor who was also born into a giant film and television and just in general artistic family. The Skarsgårds. I would say his breakout role was as Pennywise the Clown in 2017's It remake. But even before then, he'd been working and hustling in smaller and less well-scripted projects since the year 2000. We gotta go way back. Well, he definitely got help with his name. I'd also just say being a member of the Skarsgård clan gives you a leg up because you're surrounded by a lot of other talented performers. And I think ultimately when we talk about nepotism, it's important to consider that a lot of these people are just inspired by the people around them that help them get to where they are. Both sides of it. Also depends on what you bring to the table. How much work are you putting in? I think we gotta consider that part too. Or how much work are you not putting in?
Number 10. Lily Rose Depp. Lily Rose Depp is an actress and model who is the daughter of Vanessa Paradis and Johnny Depp. At 16, she landed her first campaign with Chanel, the same house her mother, Vanessa Paradis, worked with. The year before, she made her film debut alongside her father, Johnny Depp. In a November Elle profile, she brushed off suggestions that her path had been cleared for her. It just doesn't make any sense. She also said, "The internet cares a lot more about who your family is than the people who are casting you in things. Maybe you get your foot in the door, but you still just have your foot in the door. There's a lot of work that comes after that." And yup, that's how nepotism works. You are given advantages that others are not, and getting your foot in the door is part of that. These comments angered people, and on TikTok, people begged her to shut up and stop being delusional, which I have to agree with. Number 9. Olivia Jade. Olivia Jade is a YouTuber and daughter of fashion designer Massimo Ginali and actress Lori Loughlin. While in high school, Jade began a social media career on YouTube and Instagram. She is an influencer, and in the blog Pop Culture Died in 2009, it describes Olivia as our era's answer to the bling ring icon Alexis Haynes. While Alexis embodied the aughts unsightly hybrid of sleaze and luxe, Olivia exposed the lie at the heart of relatable social media fame, the stars pretending to be just like you and me whilst shacked in a palace in Beverly Hills. And also there's the college scandal. Yes, I have to bring this up. For those of you who don't know, the college scandal consisted of parents bribing athletic coaches to recruit students regardless of their athletic ability and entrance exam administrators to falsify ACT and SAT answers. Just, straight up fraud. Lori and her husband paid $500,000, to get their two daughters into the University of Southern California as members of the college rowing team, despite neither of the girls ever rowing before. They even staged photos, which were hilarious to me by the way, and it totally makes her complicit. Olivia knew what she and her family were doing and actively participated in it, which is just gross. Number 8. Ben Platt. Ben Platt is an actor, singer, and songwriter. He actually began his career in musical theater as a child, and he is the son of Julie and Mark Platt. His father is a film, television, and theater producer whose credits include Legally Blonde, Into the Woods, La La Land, and the musical Wicked. So no wonder he's famous. Now Ben has been linked to the musical Dear Evan Hansen, where he played the lead role from 2015 to 2017. Critics hailed his work, calling it historic and one of the greatest leading male performances ever seen in a musical. For his performance, he won numerous awards, including the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical, becoming the youngest solo winner in that category. Then, it would be announced that the film version of Dear Evan Hansen would come out in 2021. And guess who was producing it? Ben's father, Mark. So of course, Ben once again took on the role of Evan Hansen. Now once the trailer dropped, people called out Ben, who was 27 at the time, for playing a high schooler. They also said it was nepotism that got him that role. It could have been a perfect opportunity to give a new young actor a leading role that would change their lives, but nope. Ben took it for himself. Responding to the criticism, he said, "I think the reaction is largely from people who don't understand the context of the piece, the fact that I created the role and workshopped it for 3 years. Were I not to do the movie, it probably wouldn't get made." Which No, if your father wasn't producing it, then you wouldn't have been in it. End of story. Number 7. Maud Apatow. Maud Apatow is an actress who just so happens to be the eldest daughter of filmmaker Judd Apatow and actress Leslie Mann. She began her career as a child actress playing the daughter of her mother's characters in her father's films, Knocked Up, Funny People, and This Is 40. This opened more doors for her and set her up with people in high places. After joining Twitter, she was noted to have a large online following, which helped her become a contributor to Zooey Deschanel's website Hello Giggles as a writer and interviewer. Her work on the site as well as her acting roles earned her a spot on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in 2012, and she continued to appear in projects her father's produced, and when she was in the 2016 comedy drama film Other People, it was her first large film role not involving her father. But without her parents and their guidance, she would be nowhere near as famous as she is today. Number 6. Lottie Moss. Lottie Moss is a model who, through her father, is the younger half-sister of model Kate Moss, and that's how she garnered her fame. She had a modeling career as a teen, and she now does OnlyFans. But it seems like she hasn't put 2 and 2 together in terms of people who don't have those advantages being resentful of those who do. Amid a lot of conversation about the Nepo baby backlash, Lottie took to Twitter not to defend herself or her fellow Nepo babies, but to attack regular people. She said, "I'm so sick of people blaming nepotism for why they aren't rich and famous or successful. Obviously, it's not fair that people who come from famous families are getting a leg up because of that, but guess what? Life isn't fair. If you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. So instead of being negative about other people's success, go and try to create your own." But she didn't even create her own success. How hypocritical. Number 5. Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is an actress and businesswoman. She is the daughter of Blythe Danner and film producer-director Bruce Paltrow. Her acting debut was in High, a TV film her father directed, and after spending several summers watching her mother perform at the Williams Theatre Festival in Massachusetts, Gwyneth made her professional stage debut there in 1990. Her film debut followed with a musical romance film Shout. Now, to be honest, I don't have an issue with her being a Nepo baby with her acting. I have an issue with her business. She is the founder and CEO of the lifestyle company Goop, which has been criticized for promoting pseudoscience and harmful wellness tips. Gwyneth has opened up about what she usually eats every day, noting that most of her daily meals consist of a morning coffee, a bone broth soup for lunch, and a paleo-style meal of vegetables for dinner. "It's really important for me to support my detox," the actress mentioned, leaving some social media users to compare her diet to a colonoscopy prep. And I'll say it, it's disordered eating, and she's projecting and encouraging other women to do this, and that's just wrong. Number 4. Jamie Lynn Spears. Jamie Lynn Spears is an actress and singer. Now, she didn't get her fame from her parents, but from her sister, Britney Spears. In February 2002, at age 11, Jamie Lynn made her acting debut in the Paramount Picture drama film Crossroads, which starred her sister Britney. Following this, she got her own Nickelodeon show, which was ultimately cancelled after she got pregnant at 16 years old. Then in 2011, Jamie Lynn moved to Nashville with her daughter Maddie and began working on a country music album with a number of local music producers. In July 2021, Worthy Publishing announced her plans to release a memoir, releasing a statement saying Jamie Lynn's book has been in development over the past 12 months and will allow the world to hear her inspiring story in her own words for the first time. Her memoir, entitled Things I Should Have Said, Family, Fame, and Figuring It Out, was released on January 18, 2022. Rolling Stone recommended the book, but highlighted that Jamie Lynn used her sister Britney Spears' highly publicized struggles and conservatorship to promote her new book, which was disgusting. She was once again using her sister to gain fame. Number 3. Kaya Gerber. Kaya Gerber is a model and actress who is the daughter of model Cindy Crawford and businessman Randy Gerber. Speaking to LUS, the model, whose career began at age 10 with a Versace shoot, agreed that her career thus far has certainly been helped by the status of her parents. "I won't deny the privilege that I have, even if it's just the fact that I have a really great source of information and someone to give me great advice. That alone I feel very fortunate for," she said. Adding, "My mom always joked if I could call and book a Chanel campaign, it would be for me and not you. But I've also met amazing people through my mom whom I now get to work with." But In Kaya's eyes, her next career move, a pivot into acting, which she kicked off with an appearance in the Academy Award-winning director Damien Chazelle's Babylon, has not been helped by her parents' big names. With acting, it's so different. No artist is going to sacrifice their vision for someone's kid. That's just how art is made, and what I'm interested is in the art, she said. Yes, nepotism is prevalent, but I think if it actually was what people make it out to be, we'd see even more of it. Naturally, the internet has a lot to say about her take, with one Twitter user writing Kaya Gerber still doesn't quite understand nepotism. She doesn't understand she got instant access to the highest levels of modeling and got instant access to people like Ryan Murphy. She doesn't understand industry levels because she was born at the top, and that is so very true. Number 2. Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner is a model, media personality, and socialite. She's the daughter of Kris and Caitlyn Jenner and was on a little show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Due to this, she rose to fame, and with her family's connections, she was able to become a model. And there's no denying that, as it was directly shown on the reality series. She began modeling at the age of 14, and she made her debut at number 16 on Forbes magazine's 2015 list of top-earning models, with an estimated annual income of $4 million. In 2017, Kendall was named the world's highest paid model by Forbes, and now recently an interview that she did back in 2018 has resurfaced. During an interview with Love magazine, Kendall said she was never one of those girls who would do like 30 shows a season or whatever those girls do. More power to them, but I had a million jobs, not only catwalks but everything else. Now, this made many people angry, including fellow models. The main reason why she's getting backlash again is due to the whole nepotism baby discussion, as Kendall only became a model because of who her family was, and she was able to be selective in what shows she did. Other models didn't have that luxury and had to do 30 shows or whatever in order to survive and get their name out there. Many people feel like she's being spoiled over the whole thing, and I agree. And coming in at number 1 is Hailey Bieber. Hailey Bieber is a model, media personality, and socialite, but before she was Hailey Bieber, she was Hailey Baldwin. The Baldwins are one of the most established families in Hollywood, with the well-known Baldwin brothers Alec, Daniel, Billy, and Steven, Hailey's dad, taking the film and TV world by storm around the 80s and 90s particularly. Now, Hailey has even been labeled a double Nepo, referring not only to her father, but also her husband Justin Bieber, because that's how she reached her fame. She's literally known for being Justin's wife. Now, after a lot of the Nepo baby discourse, Hailey called the paparazzi on herself to a parking garage so they could take photos of her in jeans and a shirt that said Nepo baby. For a model, she sure didn't do a good job. Now, in the past, she's chatted with Gwyneth Paltrow about the subject, seemingly agreeing with Gwyneth's assessment that children of celebrities must work twice as hard because of their family association. Gwyneth herself has shown support for Hailey following the t-shirt stunt, commenting on InStyle's Instagram page, "I might need a few of these." But honestly, I just think it's pathetic.